Hey, what's up guys, welcome. So after 13 months of ownership of my Mercedes Benz EQS, I've decided to review it. In this video, I want to talk about my ownership experience and share with you what you can come to expect. So the introduction of the EQS, it was to shape the future of how premium electric cars could look like. And I think it worked. I think they knocked it out of the park. If you want this floaty ride experience, well, you don't get it with a Bentley. You get it with a Rolls-Royce or you get an S-Class. This is one of the very best cars on the road. Let's take it for a drive and let me tell you more about it. So when Mercedes brought about the EQS back in 2021, it was to replace the S-Class if we had gone full electric. Remember, this was at a time where the government was pushing for the future to be electric cars. In fact, car manufacturers are no longer interested in making electric cars because the market just doesn't want them. That has meant that cars that were designed from ground up to be electric cars, like this EQS, where do they stand? What happened to these cars? And you can take a wild guess, but Mercedes have decided to scrape the EQS. What they're going to do instead is to offer an electric version of the S-Class. And I suppose that makes sense because the S-Class has always been the pinnacle of luxury, and the EQS, which was supposed to replace it if we had gone full electric, given that that journey has since been scrapped, it only makes sense that the S-Class just offers an electric powertrain version of that. And this is exactly what Mercedes are doing now. I've had this for the past 13 months and it is a car that I quite like. I enjoy driving it. I've put so many miles on it, you wouldn't believe it. So what can I tell you about this car then? Well, first of all, the ride quality is very luxurious. Everything in here looks and feels very expensive and very premium. And Mercedes really went to town with the design and presentation of this car. And I'm glad that they did, because up until now, back in 2021, there wasn't anything else in the market like it. Yes, Tesla had options, but they went up to the standard. The cars that Mercedes compete with these days with the EQS are options like the BMW i7. There aren't many cars in this segment on the market as a whole. So you have very few, except these two, the EQS and the i7. They are very good. Both of them are extremely luxurious and I've had the pleasure to experience both of them. Let's talk about some positives, because there are quite a few to talk about with this car. So the first one I want to mention, if you start from the outside, is the exterior. I think what lets it down is the exterior design. It doesn't look as expensive as it rides expensive. But considering how Mercedes designed this car to cut through the air and also help improve its efficiency from a functional point of view, this is how it was always going to be designed. So from that point of view, it makes sense why it ended up looking like this. Continuing from the outside, you have what Mercedes call digital headlights. And the digital headlights is essentially, if you're coming from an Audi, you will know this to be matrix headlights. And what this does is it allows you to drive at night with full beam. If it detects any oncoming traffic or any oncoming cars, it blacks out part of that beam so you don't dazzle those drivers. How it works is unbelievable. These days, this feature is quite common, but back in the day, you could only get this with the premium top of the range cars. So you have things like blind spot monitor as well, which is standard with the EQS, except the EQS, it integrates the blind spot with the doors as well. So if you're about to open the door and there's a cyclist coming, for example, well, you're going to get a lot of warnings. So the EQS also comes with rear axle steering, which makes maneuvers very easy. I mean, you can stop in the middle of the road and do a 2.10. Many cars, you'll be doing 3.10, but not with the EQS. Remember, we are talking a car that is longer than your traditional saloon car. So soft closed doors is something that you can come to expect as standard. Previously, you had to spec it with the higher trim models, but these days, the newer ones coming out, it comes as standard. And it just means that, if somebody's sleeping in a car, you don't need to slam the door. So traditionally, if you want to adjust your mirrors, you probably have multiple buttons that you use to adjust the mirrors. That is if the mirrors are electric. In this car, adjusting the mirrors is something out of this world. So it has cameras up here that knows all the time where you're looking. So if you want to adjust that mirror, you just look at that mirror and then you use the button to adjust the mirror, and it knows and it adjusts the mirror. How cool is that? And inside is very roomy. So this is bigger than your traditional saloon car, and you end up with loads of leg room at the back, lots of space in the boot. So in here I've got wireless charging, 2 USB-C ports. I've got 2 additional USB-C ports down here where there's even more space for things like your bag, even your laptop can fit down here. And then this compartment here is very deep where you can fit large items in here. And yeah, even the door bins are quite large that you can fit large bottles in. So as far as interior space is concerned, the EQS is very well equipped. Moving on to other things then. So I like the massaging, I like the heated seats, I like the ventilation, I like these pillows. All of that is great. And these seats, they feel very plush. The sunroof opens as well. In front of me I've got a gauge cluster which can change between various menus. Everything on it is very easy to see, everything is very clear, and the display is of high quality. And the same thing goes for the main infotainment system. It uses the latest technology, so you get infinite contrast, colors, everything pop, everything looks sharp on this display. Mercedes infotainment system as a whole is very easy to use. If you're coming from like an Audi, yes, it may take you a bit of time to get your head around where things are, but once you figure it all out, I think it's probably the easiest to use in the industry. So one thing that's really nice about the EQS is how quiet and comfortable it is. Here I am doing about 60 miles per hour, and it's so comfortable, so quiet in here. I barely hear any wind noise, barely any tire noise, and it's extremely comfortable, given it has double glazing as well, and it rides on Mercedes Airmatic air suspension, which combines adaptiveness in the suspension along with air springs. It floats down the road, and Mercedes Airmatic system suspension setup is really one of the very best in the industry. So yeah, the EQS is one of the very best driving cars on the road today. I know the S-Class give you a very floaty ride, but so is this. The EQS gives you a floaty ride. It's not as soft as the S-Class, but then it's because of the heavy batteries underneath. But with the heavy batteries underneath, it means the suspension is also heavier. And what that gives you is a suspension setup that absorbs a lot of the inconsistencies and the harshness in the road. You've got things like heads-up display, which will project things like your navigation, your national speed limit, your current speed, and things like your cruise control systems, whether they're active or not, just general things like that. It's clear, and you can move it up and down, position it exactly where you want it to be. And yeah, it just complements what this car has to offer. Another thing to mention is these air vents here. How they are designed, this aeroplane style air vents, they deliver a lot of air. I mean, if you fully open this and you set the fan to full blast, it delivers so much air that you can cool yourself down within few minutes on a hot summer day. This steering wheel is probably my favorite thing about this car. Everything you touch on this steering wheel, including holding on to it, feels very nice, and it reminds me of my old Bentley Continental GT steering wheel. Just this leather, it reminds me of that. It's very plush and very expensive feeling. And then all the buttons on this feels very premium. Even the horn has this mechanical feel that feels top notch, right? And then you've got these paddle shifters, which when you press on them feels very expensive. One thing I quite like, and it's quite reliable as well, is the fingerprint reader in this car. So as soon as you enter the cabin, you just rest your finger on the reader and it automatically logs you in and loads your profile. It couldn't be any easier than that. Some of the other features in this car include web browser. The car even has a camera up here that you can do Zoom calls from, and just like most modern cars, it comes with the Mercedes Me app where you can initiate remote controls. Some of the remote controls, they are very clever. It's any notifications that you normally otherwise have missed, the car will let you know. So if you lock the car and you happen to leave either your window open or your sunroof open, you can go in, the car will send you a notification to your app, and you can close it right there and there from the app. How clever is that? Another thing that I thought was clever, too many clever things, is if the cabin gets too warm, a lot of cars, they will maybe automatically initiate the air conditioning. I believe this car does it as well. But if there's no need for that, it partially opens the driver's side window to let out some of that heat. It will do this automatically, and it will send a text, a notification to your phone that is actually doing so. And when it moves back into closed position, it will also tell you. This is all very clever. The main downside that I have with the EQS is actually to do with the seats. The seats themselves are very plush, very premium, and with these, they even come with massaging, heating, and ventilation. My passengers, my family are the ones telling me that they can't find any comfort in the seating position on a long journey. It's just how they are positioned, how they are angled, that's where the comfort goes missing. So this car unnecessarily has some additional controls, that one of which is a bit annoying to use. I don't know why there should exist two ways to put a car in park. So there's a button here that you press on the lever to park. So I don't understand why there should be an additional one down here to park the car, when sometimes you go to move the car, it had automatically activated the one down here. This is especially common if you go to charge the car and then you want to move off, it automatically activates this bottom one. Not always, sometimes it does it. And so here you are wanting to get a move on, putting the car in drive, and it says it's in drive, but it won't move. It's just unnecessary. So let's talk about price then. They are very expensive. The minimum you'll be spending on one of these is around 100k, and Mercedes offer higher trim versions of this car. You can even spec it all the way up to the Maybach version, similar to the S-Class. It is an expensive car, but then it drives expensive. It feels luxurious. So yeah, that has been my review of the Mercedes Benz EQS. I hope this video was useful and you found it helpful. If you did, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming on very soon.